What screams I'm a man-child but nobody realize it. Everybody but the man-child in question will notice this. Never owning up to your mistakes, and constantly blaming something else for them. How dare you point that out? Sorry, but op was pointing my ex and you're definitely not my ex. You are op. Not with that kind of attitude, I can't. Narcissism is I'm the hero, or I'm the victim. Lived with it for 17 years. He'd also work 6 months at a job, long enough to qualify for unemployment, and mysteriously get fired. Draw unemployment for 6 months, rinse, repeat. It also manifests in I will stand my ground and never accept defeat in an argument even when you walk them step by step through the argument, agreeing to each move before continuing, until you bring them to the logical, objective truth at the end. And they've agreed to 95% of everything, and the last step is just crossing the finish line and officially accepting that you were right and they were wrong. But instead of accepting reality like an adult, they choose to fight on by just repeating their initial statement again. So now you're back to square one. And at that point you have to realize that people curate the reality that they want to live in. And facts can't hurt your argument if you don't believe in them. Feeling the need to outman the other men you are around. I knew a guy like this. He was exhausting AF and would be the guy to start fights in clubs when he had a few drinks. I knew 2 guys like this. Oh yay? I knew 4. The imaginary pissing match between men is exhausting, especially when there's new women around. This is when they get real big and loud lamau. They talk at people without listening or sense of empathy and get quick to anger when called out. At same time they're usually the type of person who just tells it like it is or is brutally honest. Bonus points if they claim to be a logical thinker while being the most emotional person in the room. Jesus, are we all having the same experience in life? It's blunt. All we are in life. The same experience having. There's one dad in our group of kid friends who's exactly like this. Rude, dismissive and constantly looking after his next deal, real estate. The really awful part? He's richer than Croesus and knows it. So for him in his mind, to listen even for a scant minute is him being friendly. GB. When I used to work in pharmacy, one of my patients was this ridiculously wealthy real estate guy down in the rich part of Florida. He did national speaking tours in addition to managing his own real estate developments and such. Several books. People would recognize him frequently. More money than God. But he was shockingly humble, and one of the best patients we had because he seemed truly understanding. Thankful, even, to be in the position he was in. Good dude. His brother, on the other hand, who had the money by association but didn't work for it. What a effing $1. The real don't you know who I am? Type. I'm an alpha. More like yay, you're a effing loser. Nah, I'm an alpha and you're just a jealous and insecure beta. This attitude BTW is also a typical man-child thing. The Greeks should seek reparations for the continuing A of their alphabet. I always wonder about these people. You see them at a barbecue. Alpha is F. But you know that they make $10 an hour cleaning toilets at Home Depot and live with their parents. It's never an actual successful person spouting this bullsh. That's why the Andrew Tate crap is so prolific. It requires no energy or real work to act like an alpha douche nozzle. You just feed into the ego and it's done. It also reasons that you must not have any introspection, so it's easy to get lost in it. I mean, people who have accomplishment in real life don't need stupid Andrew Tate to tell me they're worthy. Never apologizing. Never being wrong. That would be my father. Edit. We have done a lot of things wrong with you. But you have to just accept it because we're your parents. My mother said this to me while my father just sat and glared at me without saying a word. No. I ran to a friend's house in the middle of the night 3 weeks ago without telling you because I don't accept it. Stayed with the friend for a while longer after that. Our father. Are suddenly communist. Somewhere, some super cool dude is losing all of his friends because he's on an amazing hot streak of doing stuff right and has nothing to apologize for. Not taking out your garbage for weeks on end when you live in an apartment building. Even when the weather gets really hot and your trash stinks so badly that simply walking into the building is like being hit in the face with a decomposing corpse. Yes, manchild in 33. I'm talking to you. You should ask for a wellness check. He could be dead or trying to hide a body. Last summer, at peak stench, the property manager went in for exactly that reason and just found bags of garbage. I don't know how thoroughly she searched for bodies, but the smell did diminish when she took the garbage out, so I assumed that's all it was. This summer, I'm not so sure. The tenant himself is fine making his usual living noise, but I tell you, if his fridge turns out to be full of decapitated heads, I won't keel over in shock. This is the answer. Sort of. Those bags have food in them. That food rots. That kinda stinks, but it's manageable. Once the food is rotting, the eggs bugs have laid in it start hatching. Now there's an entire ecosystem in that bag and that stinks. Story time. I have anosmia. I was born without a sense of smell. I get paranoid about things like my garbage, body odor, etc., partly because I can't tell if things stink and partly because people often won't tell me when something stinks. I used to work as a consulting radiation expert. I did a spell traveling to rural dental surgeries to test X-ray machines. When I finished, I was driving around for weeks, including having people in my car, until I picked up my best friend, who immediately stopped me and said, "Something is dead in your car." I opened the bonnet and nothing dead, but the engine was absolutely covered in possum sh. Apparently they will sleep on engines in winter because they are warm. My car had smelled like hot possum sh for a month, with everyone being too polite to bring it up with me. Nothing to do with your man-child. He just sounds like a dick, but I wanted to tell that story. I have a friend with the same. He once asked me specifically as a friend to tell him if he had any bad smell issues. I visited his place once and right away noticed a stale washing machine smell. You know, the one you get with a front-loading washer where water pools at the bottom of the rubber folds that seal the door shut. Told him about it and how to fix it. He was like, "Why didn't my roommates notice? Lol." He breaks stuff and punched holes in walls over things. Doesn't even matter how big or small the trigger. Immediate signal he's a man-child and incapable of regulating himself and his emotions. Edit. Seeing some people defend this behavior or arguing semantics. If a man is constantly showing aggressive behavior to the point of breaking things, or is someone who defends this behavior, yeah, I'd say both are massive red flags. I used to have a huge problem with this. I'm glad I don't act that way anymore. I'm happy to hear this. That's great news, and I think you should be proud of yourself. I had an ex who was exactly like this. My friends, coworkers, and family would describe him the same way too. His reason for always acting this way was because of his BPD. I even defended him so many times from my friends and family for his actions and used his BPD as an excuse as well until we broke up. I'm not invalidating his mental health, but darn, I'm just glad he didn't hit me. The verbal A was above and beyond though. Mental health is not your fault, but it is your responsibility. Marcus Parks. I have a ton of mental health issues, but I don't use them as an excuse to be tied to other people. People who just go, "I have 30 disorders, so everyone else just has to deal with my behavior," are not taking responsibility for their own actions. Screeching down a neighborhood in the evening. I know you're referring to doing it in a vehicle, but I'm imagining a grown man sprinting down the street screaming at the top of lung. Just the one lung though. He's a man-child, not a man-baby. After all, this same type used to make car noises as he would speedwalk to his next middle school class. We all know him. I would straight up run. 15 years later turns out, oops, that was ADHD. They have extremely strict morals and principles. When citing them will get them out of doing something. They will drop all morals and principles when ignoring them will get them out of doing something. I had a roommate who refused to share food, like at a meal, which he referred to as pick eating. He would not give you a bite of his dish, or allow you to eat one of his fries, as he viewed it as unsanitary. However, if you made a pot of chili, you could spit in the pot and he'd still eat half of it. This actually contributed to the end of our association. Late one night, we stopped at a fast food joint, and I got a hamburger. Realizing that I'd forgotten the napkins, I left the table to get some. I returned to find 2 large bites taken out of my burger. "I just wanted to know what it tasted like," he explained. "Then give me 2 bites of your burger," I demanded. "I don't like it when people pick eat," he suggested. In one of my least proud moments, I slapped him hard across the face, causing him to get tangled in the awkward Hardee's seats that are mounted to the floor. I left him at Hardee's, and we parted ways the following week. It was a culmination of similar pain and they events, but to this day it chaps my eye. That was very satisfying to read. Sorry, he was a jerk. One of the few where it didn't end with me thinking it's a shame they didn't do X. That's a good one. When he refers to watching his own kids as babysitting or acts like it's a favor. I helped my wife with the kids. I actually get offended when people say this to me. No, I didn't help my wife with the kid. I parented. It's 5,050 not 1,090. No one is helping the other. We are taking care of our kid. Living in Ireland, that's an all too common experience. The bar for dads is unbelievably low here. This is something that absolutely sets me on edge and always gives husband as just another child energy. Alpha, beta, sigma nonsense. I'm an alpha male. I'm not even close to ready for a public release, but I'm hoping for an open beta soon. A stable release kind of guy myself. I'm Windows XP, old, slow, insecure, hasn't been supported for years, but somehow there are still people out there who like me. If you talk about alpha, beta, dislike for stuff, I just assume you are still in that adolescent phase where you're trying to figure out how to be a real man. Otherwise, why would you spend so much energy thinking about what Greek letter of manliness defines you? Or how to be more like this or that kind of male? Greek alphabets are used to classify radiation particles. Shouldn't be for types of humans. Every so often a big thread comes up from a guy 17-25 moving into his first place on his own and looking to start bringing lady friends home, and asking for suggestions of what to put in the apartment to make it welcoming to women. This is not man-childish. It's fine and good. There was one I can recall where either the op or probably just some really invested commenter was angry at most of the suggestions. In particular, one suggesting multiple blankets, an extra pillow, and an extra towel in the event a woman slept over. But that's just catering to her? Why should a guy have things in his apartment just to cater to her? While it's rarely expressed so directly, it's an attitude I see in bitter, lonely man children a lot. Why should I do anything for you if it's not something I want? Doesn't matter if the action is as mundane as own 2 towels or if they want something from the person they're catering to. Women should just sleep with them but not expect comfort or entertaining dates. Employers should just give them jobs and fat paychecks. They shouldn't need things like qualifications or hard work. Friends should just loan them money and entertain them on a dime, but never ask them for anything. This is such a thing. Like using the word simp to describe doing things for your partner in a normal loving relationship like no. Man, I pack my wife's lunch because I love her? Are you okay? Maybe it is a generational divide thing, but I have never heard simp used in that context. Always knew simps as the neckbeardy, forever alone, mealy-mouthed platonic besties with girls and or the ones who spend ungodly sums of money on e-girls. Emo, it started as your definition, but other dudes have co-opted it to mean doing anything for a woman that doesn't directly lead to S. When I was in my 20s I dated a man who lived with a male roommate and they had a courtesy basket of basic period supplies in their bathroom. We're now married and have 2 kids together. The courtesy basket wasn't why we got married, but I was actually endeared to him because of how thoughtful of others he and his roommate were. Recognizing that you have female friends over and sometimes they might need a pad as just a general courtesy is a thing most men would never even consider. I saw an advice meme once telling guys to keep period supplies. The comment section was a trip. There were the typical "she's gonna think you're in a relationship" guys who couldn't fathom why a woman would be in their apartment outside of a one-night stands during which they don't communicate with each other at all. But the ones that really cracked me up were the guys who got viscerally angry at the mere suggestion that you do something nice for women. One guy said not to do that because it'll teach women to become reliant on you and they'll know they can keep using you. Like we're dogs or some sh. Don't feed us or you won't be able to get rid of us. Lack of respect for people doing things for them, even when paid. Being short or rude to servers staff. Not saying, thank you and please, etc. Thankfully, this is usually easy to spot on first dates. My boss is like this. First time I realized she is a bad person and my respect for her tanked. Same situation. Boss was a man-child in all aspects. A really despicable person. Almost 40 years old. Very sick. No self-care. Recently found out he's most likely going to jail. The complete package. If you want an idea of who someone really is, watch how they treat those they don't need to impress. Burning Barbie dolls and filming it because a movie hurts your feelings. Wait, are people doing this? Ben Shapiro is Lamau. Maybe he's jealous because the Barbie doll is taller than he is. Lifted camo wrap SUV that is neither lifted properly, nor truly off-road capable. LARPing as military on roads. Pavement princesses. Mall terrain vehicle. Soft rotors. Don't forget the Instagram handle on the rear window. They also have accounts for each of their 4 pit bulls probably. Can't control your temper. There's nothing more pathetic than seeing a grown adult man having a hissy fit. Either gender emo. Can confirm. Had an ex-friend who would throw tantrums, hit people, scream and cry, just have meltdowns. Borderline personality disorder is a B. Yeah, but so was she. I would extend this to inability to self-regulate in general. Currently moving out of the apartment I share with my boyfriend because he is jealous of my dog, the one I had for years before we started dating. It started off with little things and has escalated to the dog needing to be in a cage 247 or I get the silent treatment. Good riddance, F-er. Good for you. But why does my wife never get mad at the dog when it pees on the floor? But she gets mad at me when I do it. It's not fair. She treats that animal so much better than me. Not learning how to perform basic domestic tasks like laundry, dishes, etc. If they make an active decision not to learn those things, it just tells me they want a mommy and not a partner. Do these guys just keep a string of girlfriend mommies? How do you function beyond your late teens without being able to take care of basic housekeeping? I know one of these guys and he went directly from his mom doing it to married. It was not until somewhat later that his wife realized that his parents had been driving the 23 hours each way from their home once a week so that his mom could fill his fridge and clean the house while his dad mowed the lawn, etc. Frankly, I give the parents some of the blame for that level of enablement. Upon divorce, the parents went back to doing all of this and more. Nah bruh, that's some weird sh. My least favorite joke is the whole dad doesn't know how to cook anything but chicken nuggets thing. Like, that's not funny. That's sad and lays bare a pretty awful imbalance of workload that must be happening. You never learned basic SKS that allow you to care for you and your family? Get out of here. Huge Monster Energy logos in his back window. I am always amazed when I see stuff like that because I simply can't imagine who this person is. I used to work in construction and knew plenty of white trashy redneck dudes. Never met one that would have had a Monster sticker on their truck. I worked in sales, which was populated with a bunch of sketchy coke head dudes. No Monster stickers. Used to hang out with a few hardcore gamers. Like full-on energy drinks, never water, Mountain Dew loving, haven't changed their shirt in 3 days gamer brothers. None of them would have done that. And yet I see these stickers all the time. Does anybody know who these Monster Energy drink sticker people are? If you know one, please explain this character to me because I don't think I have ever met one. I genuinely don't know who these people are. Edit. So I am getting gym brothers, extreme sports people, and people that work around activities sponsored by Monster. And I suppose that makes sense since I don't think I've ever been very close to that stuff. Tweakers that post Joker memes and edgy quotes about how dangerous they are, have had multiple children taken by the state for failing D tests, are racist as F but say the N-word with the A, listens to a dislike for you call dudes waving rebel flags with lifted trucks rapping about guns and their land, and has Brandon stickers on everything, has their Snapchat Instagram with dislike for in sticker form on their Tahoe Durango beaten up with dislike for mud machine they got ripped off on at the buy here pay here. Yeah, I unfortunately know these type of people. This screams Florida. Putting other men down for liking books or video games while they obsess over sports, Fast and the Furious, and cars. Everyone has a hobby and we all have things we enjoy. Liking video games or books doesn't make you any less of a man. Acting like watching sports makes you manly always seems like projection to me. How is a guy sitting on his fat A watching football games all weekend any better than another guy sitting on his A reading books or playing video games all weekend? It's the same darn thing. Yeah. How is memorizing football stats and wearing the memorabilia not considered nerdy? I don't get it. Put any sports stadium crowd next to any Comic-Con crowd and you'll find just as many out of shape people and just as many people in costumes and makeup. Because it's non-fiction. Dating back to gladiatorial days, it's more mainstream because it's real people pushing themselves beyond what normal people are capable of and spectators can marvel at the potential of the human body. Whereas comic and anime conventions are fictional. It's sad to say it's okay to idolize a human doing exceptional things, but it's seen as childish to idolize superheroes or video game characters because technically they aren't real. Whatever happened to the whimsy of childhood? It's like society pushes us to let go of it as we age. I'm a nice guy. But you just want one of those, insert literally any descriptive word, guys. Or, you're ugly anyways. I only swiped right because I felt bad for you. Actually, come to think of it, I'm pretty sure everyone realizes by now that those phrases scream man-child, A. Dislike for, still relevant. BS about having to babysit his own kids. I dislike when people say, oh, you babysitting the kids today was like, huh, no, I'm looking after my children. No, I'm parenting, I don't even say I'm looking after my daughter. What would you say to the mom looking after the kids while dad works? Okay, that is what I'm doing. Anytime my kids and I were out without their mom doing swimming and somebody asked if I was babysitting, I would tell them she was dead. Watching that wash over them was always my favorite. She's not dead. She's alive and well. But they don't know that, and they don't need to know that. They need to sit there and feel like the $1 they are. 3 children stacked on top of each other, in a trench coat. Ah, I see you've met Vincent Adultman, who works at the business factory. I was scrolling through this whole post worried I might find something here that I do. I was relieved I couldn't find any man-child traits for myself. Until I read your comment. Always needing to be right. Truck nuts? Truck nuts. Prosthetic balls for your dog so he can still have his confidence after being fixed. Acts whiny at any hint of disagreement. Reporting people who politely disagree with you to Reddit's side helpline. Giant human diapers like you Jimmy 2 times 1968 do it all the time. Multiple times today to different people. Actually, I'm going to borrow giant human diapers if that's okay. It's a fantastic label for man-children or adult toddlers. To be honest, I borrowed it from Henry Zebrowski on the Manifestos episode of last podcast on the left. They were introducing Elliot Rodger, the incel colostomy bag who did that sorority massacre side, and Henry goes, this little F is a giant human diaper.